Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the Improving Relationships session. So we're talking about empathy and understanding tonight. I am Dina Barnwell. I am a community health worker and certified health education specialist in Baltimore, Maryland. And I am the co-lead of the Fathers Matter Improving Relationships group. So the Morehouse School of Medicine's Prevention Research Center and the Georgia Department of Public Health Strong Fathers, Strong Families GA Coalition have teamed up to mobilize fatherhood in Georgia. Together, the Academic Public Health Partnership evolved into this multi-sector participatory approach with a focus on 7 strategies, which included improving relationships between fathers and institutions and fathers and their co-parents. I just want to throw a quick apology out there if y'all hear my Baltimore accent slip out. Y'all be patient with me. I'm doing my best here. So the goal of this group, we are promoting the value for the role of a father as an equally necessary parent by supporting family-serving agencies and to develop father-friendly environments and interactions that are welcoming, reflect their individuality, and that nurture and sustain the responsibilities involved with fatherhood. And our objective is to provide activities, resources, training that will increase awareness and knowledge on father-friendly approaches that support improving relationships between co-parents and fathers and institutions. And so we've had a series of events here through different topics. And so tonight I'm very excited that we have Chris White as our speaker and Tremaine Ferguson as our moderator for this session, Improving Relationships with Empathy and Understanding. So Mr. Ferguson, I turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Tina. I love your accent, so that's a good thing. And I think they're happy until now. I don't know if they're gonna be so happy now that I am taking over moderator duties, but thank you guys. I'm glad all you guys are here. You guys are great. I do, Chris just mentioned a lot of the names. I am recognizing a lot of names. You are some heavy hitters, so applaud yourself coming out 7 o'clock. We're doing an event after Clubhouse, 8:15 after. I will be reminding you guys about that again. So first of all, I see somebody on here named Jason White. Chris, is that your brother? Because that guy looks just like you, if not.
That's my brother, yes.
Oh, great. So that's a great family affair type thing. Thank you, Mr. Jason White, for coming on out. I know your brother well. He's a great guy. And he's about to school you, I guess. You probably talk to him all the time. So, but all right, so let's go. So I have the pleasure to talk to Chris all the time. Chris is excellent. We actually do a group together. Well, when I say we actually do a group, Chris actually does a group most of the time. I'm doing what exactly I do now, basically just talk him up. He's a great guy. He's excellent. Like I said, we are a strong, tight community here. We talk all the time. We are definitely a family. You are now a part of our extended family. I am glad that you guys could come out, and we're going to talk about some empathy. If you guys have questions, what we're going to do is I'm going to let Chris speak. And if you have questions, I guess you want to save them. Chris, are you taking questions, or you want to save them to the end of so after you finish speaking?
So this is a little bit different. This is not like a TED talk or anything like this. Is a discussion. Okay. So let me be clear on this. I have about 30 minutes worth of content to discuss. We have more than 30 minutes. So the difference is going to be you all's contribution to this discussion. I'm not, I want to make this clear. I'm not going to be calling anybody out. So you don't have to be afraid, but I hope that you decide to participate in the discussion if you are moved to do that. So that's the way we'll do it. We'll have discussions and conversations and questions as they come along. So you don't have to hold for questions on this.
Now, I, however, will try to call people out. So I will randomly call people out. So please stay on your toes, because I do that often. So prepare for that. First of all, Chris, your lighting is excellent there. My lighting looks horrible. So
hey, I'm prepared today.
Yeah. You are definitely Zoom ready. But
yes,
okay,
sir.
so without further ado, Chris, the floor is yours. All right.
All right. Thank you, Tremaine. And I see that the screen sharing is disabled, and I would love to share my screen if at all possible. If somebody could do that for me,
Okay, so while they're doing that,
if that's allowed.
let's give some shout outs to Natasha Worthy. Definitely, thank you very much. She's in control right now. Definitely,
Yes.
Dina did a great job. Thank you guys very much. Of course, my name is Tremaine Ferguson from CWW, and this is Chris White from Fathers Matter. No, Movement. I'm sorry. I said Fathers Matter because Fathers Movement. I apologize.
Well, and fathers do matter. So this is fine. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen now. We are ready to roll. So yes, my name is Chris White. I serve as Executive Director of Father Movement. As Tremaine said, we do have a class that we do through Center for Black Women's Wellness and Atlanta Healthy Start. I know you from some of my other roles and things that I do in my work with fathers and families. So it's good to see some of you folks, and it's good to see some new faces that I haven't seen yet. Hopefully we know each other a little better by the end of this discussion. So as I said before, this is something that we are going to talk about together. I do have some information I'd like to share with you, but then I absolutely want your feedback on this. This will make this a much more rich experience if we can, get some participation from the audience. Think of me as the DJ, but the party ain't a party if nobody's gonna dance. So don't just sit there in your chairs, get up and dance with me, please. All right, speaking of dancing, that's right, Lil Wayne. So if we're talking about empathy and understanding, of course, we need to hear from Lil Wayne in this topic. Okay, so Lil Wayne here shares with us from Feel Me, which is on the Carter 2. He said, if you don't understand me, if you don't feel me, then you ain't real in my eyes. And that's all that count to me. Thank you, Lil Wayne. What I think Lil Wayne is saying here is really how a lot of people feel about empathy. We've always wanted empathy, right? We may not have always used the term empathy, but we've always wanted it. And so Lil Wayne is saying is that if you can't feel me or understand me, you are not real or someone I can trust. Okay? So what he's saying here is feeling understood leads to trust. If I feel that you understand me, I'm more likely to trust you. If you understand where I'm coming from, I'm more likely to trust you, right? And if you want trust, you must demonstrate understanding. If you want somebody to trust you, you need to let them know that you understand. And that will make a lot more sense as we move forward here. So I have trust fall on here. That's the next few words on this slide. I look at this guy right here, this gentleman, and he's sitting there with his eyes closed. I think he's preparing for a trust fall. And does anybody know what a trust fall is? I told you I'm asking for participation. Who knows? What is a trust fall?
I'll take this one, Chris. That's when you used to hold your arms and just fall back and just trust that people will grab you and hold on to you. They used to make me do that at camp. I was scared to death.
Right. And look, so if Tremaine is doing a trust fall, he really would like better understand. What is this? What's happening? Do you guys understand what you're supposed to do? The people behind me, do you know what you're supposed to do? Are you ready to do what you need to do? Okay. I wanted to get that. I want to make sure you understand your role, understand the assignment. And then look, Tremaine from New York. What borough are you from?
From the Bronx, straight out the Bronx.
Tremaine from the boogie down Bronx. He wants them to understand that there may be some consequences and repercussions if they don't fulfill their assignment. So understand that if I'm going to trust you, you have to catch me. All right. If you don't catch me, we're going to have to get some understanding around here. So again, you want somebody to trust you, you have to demonstrate that you understand the assignment, you understand what they're supposed to do. Why is understanding so important? Well, if you look at the situation with Tremaine, and our friend preparing for the trust fall, if you don't understand, if they don't understand what you're going to do, maybe they're not ready for you to fall yet. They say, okay, on 3, you're going to fall, but you just start falling, you know, and they're not ready. You didn't understand. If there's no understanding, there can actually be physical harm, right? It's either going to hurt you a little bit or it's going to hurt you a lot, but it's going to hurt. Well, we don't have trust falls every day, right? But we do come in contact with people. We do have discussions. We do reveal ourselves to people, and there needs to be some trust in order for us to do that. So being understood is a basic need for emotional safety. Being understood is a basic need for emotional safety. Okay, why else is it important? It validates our sense of self. We're in our house, we're thinking of, you know, who we are, who we want to be. Within ourselves, we come up with an idea of who we are, our sense of self, all right? And we go out in the world to see if this is indeed validated. Do people think I am who I think I am or not? I use sports a lot in my analogy. So in sports, as an example, guys will say, I'm him, right? They'll hit a shot, they'll, you know, score a touchdown, they'll pound their chest, I'm him. I'm him is, I'm that dude, I'm the one, I'm nice, you know, I'm the best. It's that, like, I'm that guy, right? And so they say that, they pronounce it for the world to hear, but they also want that validated. They want to know, they want to, yes, I'm him, but then they're asking, like, am I him? You know, like, do you guys think I'm him? We want that validation. We all want that, okay? Why else? Why else is understanding important? Because we want to be accepted. We all want to be accepted, right? It feels so good to be accepted for who you are, for people that get you, that understand who you are. And look, you really appreciate how good it feels when the absence of acceptance exists. If there is no acceptance, if you are in a space where you're not accepted, you just want to run back to where you are accepted.
Yeah.
You know, you want to go back to that, okay? And understand is important because we want to be parts of tribes. We want to be part of the tribe. That's our family, that's our friends, our community. We're tribal people. We want to be part of a tribe. And if you don't believe that, think of this. This is another question now, get ready. Not for Tremaine. Tell me this, what happens if somebody goes to prison and they get in trouble in prison? What do? Where do they put them? Somebody unmute and tell me what you
Come
think.
on, solitary confinement.
Solitary confinement, King.
Not that
Why
I've been.
would
I've
you
never been in
put
prison.
somebody in solitary confinement in prison? If I'm in prison around murderers, rapists, maybe they even want to rape me, why would they put me in solitary confinement? I would think the punishment would be to put you in the room with them. But they put you in solitary confinement because we want to be connected. We want to be around people. We're social beings. This is the way we were designed and made. So it is a punishment to put you in that room. You're safe in there, right? You're not threatened physically, but they're going to put you in there, and that's what they use to keep people in line. So we want to be part of the tribe. With my children, that's something I do, you know, if they need some discipline, you're out from the tribe temporarily. You know, you got to spend your 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however it is, and be out. And we're not talking to you, you know, you're not part of this tribe for the moment because your behavior is unacceptable. So understanding, we want to be understood. And now I want to ask you this, think of a time when you felt understood. And how did it make you feel? Somebody tell me a time where you felt understood. How did this make you feel? Did you feel any of these feelings I just discussed?
I'll just say, oh, go ahead. What did you, who passed? Oh, hell no.
I can't hear you that well. Or we had somebody else on
Yeah,
here.
we had to put them on mute, but Mr. King can go on. Mr. King, I think you were about to speak.
Y'all muted me when he told me I could talk.
Oh,
That's terrible.
I did because I heard the
You was
background
too real for
noise.
us. You
And
was
I
real
was
too
I
like,
real.
have absolutely zero background noise. Don't be
I think
doing
that
me.
was somebody else.
I'm a professional in this thing now.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
bad.
Chris.
Okay.
I'm serious about this Zoom, you see. So go on, Mr.
Put some
Smith.
respect on it. Yes. Okay. The question, a time where you felt understood.
I'm from Atlanta, and at 26 years old, I moved to Seattle with my job, and never been there, never knew anybody. Most of my friends couldn't even tell me where Seattle was on the map. Never even thought about being there, but job gave me an opportunity, so I went out there. Complete culture shock. Atlanta is very Black, beneficial, as to where Seattle's the opposite. We tell them out there, hey, I can go a whole day, go to the gas station, go to church, go to the grocery store, go to work, and only see Black people. I do the same thing out there and not see one Black person. Also, Southern is different from Northern as far as, way of life, ways of thought, such like that. So when I'm up there, complete culture shock. I'm around absolutely no Black people, and around people who don't know Southern hospitality is what we call it down here. And until I happened to run into somebody in the gym who was from Alabama.
Move a little closer to your phone.
I ran into somebody at the gym who was from Alabama and happened to be closer. I mean, was in Seattle with me, and understood, hey, that Southern kind of culture shock. And it was a Black guy, and just the ability to connect with him and that feeling of acceptance and comfort and relief at that time, just in that little 20-minute conversation, whatever it was, when we were sitting on the side of the basketball court, because I don't sit on the side for very long. I get picked up because I'm good. But the little 20 minutes that we were sitting on the side of the basketball court was just very relieving, and actually gave me a lot of energy, like revived my energy for being there for a little, because it made me homesick, not being around things that I knew. But that feeling of acceptance and relief was overwhelming, and I appreciated them for it.
Yeah. So if you had that moment back home in Atlanta with somebody, it probably wouldn't have resonated with you in the same way. But again, the absence of that understanding or perceived understanding heightened it. Where you're like, oh my goodness, it's like you're walking through the desert and there's an oasis.
Right.
Somebody that gets me. Thank you.
Right.
Yes, and thank you for sharing. That's a great example. And I'll take one more too if somebody else feels compelled to share. Somebody else had anything? I can take one more.
I was going to say, and if not, you have comments in the chat. People said that it felt like relief, like a weight was lifted off of me. Joining the military, I get relates to, I guess, the tribe and being accepted. And most of your friends like doing the same things and have the same type of interest. This person, Miss Gardner, she felt validated.
Right. Absolutely. Very good. Yeah. And thank you for watching those comments, because I cannot, well, I guess I can see the little number, but yeah, I appreciate that. All right. Very good. So I think we understand. I think we probably did before I even went through the slides, but I just really want to drive home a few points. Now, empathy. I didn't grow up here in empathy. So I want to make sure we're all on the same page with empathy. So if we define it, and look at my buddy here, he's ready to listen. Look at it. I love it. Empathy is the action of understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experience of another without having those feelings and thoughts, and without being fully communicated in an objectively explicit manner. So what we're talking about here is you understand thoughts, feelings, what have you, without being expressly told, this is how I feel. So you understand my joy without me telling you about it, without you telling you I feel joyful. You understand my sadness without me telling you I'm sad. Okay, that would be empathy. And what empathy does is it strengthens our power to understand. And I say power because when you perceive things in a different way, when you are more observant, when you can empathize with people in a way that you couldn't before, you do feel like you have a new power, greater understanding. So, you know, I like Marvel superheroes and all that. Especially my son, he's crazy about it. So I think of that like it's like a superpower. I mean, maybe it's not a great one, but it's like a superpower.
Okay.
Okay.
Powerless.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what happens when you have empathy, because it expands your reach. Like, so your understanding is here. You can only get what comes direct at you. But with empathy, you can catch on all these different things. All right. And so we're going to ask for a little more participation here. And I want to discuss what are some of those ways that you can understand and you can observe how somebody feels without them telling you. Somebody jump on here and take one of the easiest ones right away. How can you observe how some
actions?
What's that?
Out of language.
I said they actions.
Actions? Sure,
Yeah.
sure, absolutely. Somebody tells you that they're sorry, but they don't act sorry, tells you something, right? Somebody tells you they're fine, but they're sitting outside in the rain, you know, just staring into the sky, like something's going on with this dude, right? We could pick up on that. Very good. Their actions. Are there any others?
I was just
Somebody said
Yeah,
facial.
facial expressions. Facial expression.
facial expression big.
Very good, right? So some of us, our face is very telling.
Which
Say again.
this is Shalonda Burns. I was gonna say body language.
Body language, yes, their actions, their facial expressions, their body language. When somebody's disgusted, right? I mean, we could do sad, but somebody's disgusted. I can tell, like my 14-year-old, she's easily disgusted. Like she'll turn away and all this kind of stuff, or she'll turn her whole body away from something if she doesn't like the smell of it, or she makes it very easy for me to detect what's going on with her body language. That's a good one. Any others you can think of?
So, Chris, I have a question in regards to this.
Yeah.
So, say for instance, like I would use me for example. I would be horrible at empathy because a lot of times I might not observe the body language of like my significant other, and she might say, "Oh, you didn't see that, and I get it all the time that
Yeah.
some things I've missed. So is that like a thing? Would that make me not empathetic, or is that just being non-observant?
I would say it's not necessarily that you don't have empathy, it's that you're not even getting to that point because there isn't the level of awareness. And we're going to say, and you said observant, I changed it to awareness because awareness is on one of my slides. So I'm just
Okay.
trying to punch that home, right? That we're going to be talking about awareness. So yeah, and that's an issue that a lot of us have, men especially, but women too. We're not even aware, and we're so easily distracted. And so that phone that some of you got in your hands right now makes it harder for you to be aware of what's going on right in front of you. So that's a good question. That's a good question.
Okay, hey, my bad. Another one, Demetrius Spencer. So even if sometimes your phone not being a distraction towards you, does it make it harder for you with your communication, or is it the other person, or from like people in society?
You're talking about if you don't have a phone, but somebody else has a phone, does it make it harder to communicate with them?
Yeah, nah. Like for example, like dealing with the phones, it's a big distraction in today's society. Yep. But when it's time to talk, is it only because of that person is no longer interested in your conversation or what you're trying to talk about, or is it like you're not trying to get the attention?
So you both have phones, and you're not even trying to initiate a conversation because you have your phone. But if you did, she may not hear you because she's on her phone too, you're saying.
Basically, yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously it's both, right?
Mhm.
It's definitely both. And we need to create space. Relationships require space. We need the space to relate to each other. And if we have all these distractions, we miss those opportunities to do so. Like you brought up a great point right there. Yeah, maybe we commonly think of the distractions preventing somebody from listening, but you may have something distracting you from even starting the conversation, even communicating in the first place. That's a great one. I didn't even think about that.
I've frequently, that happens all the time, where you might say, hey, I want to go out, and you go out with somebody and they just constantly in their phone the whole time you're out with them, and it's like you're not even enjoying being out at that point. You're just out, and you're doing the same thing that you would do in the house. I mean, that happens. I'm guilty of that. I'm sure everybody's guilty of that, where you're so consumed with what's going on with your phone and what's going on in the internet world that you're not understanding and observing what's going on around you.
Right.
Very true.
Yeah, you can have a lot of things playing like within a relationship or whatever, but it's just like at the end, and as soon as you get to that spot, it's just like that person doesn't seem interested.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's see how we can talk. Let's see how we can learn to address that too. So with empathy, we think of empathy being feeling what somebody's feeling, right? Like Lil Wayne was saying, feeling what someone's feeling. But researchers have discovered there really are two distinct ways in which you can empathize with somebody. So we're going to go over that. So the first one is walking in someone's shoes. Y'all heard that before? Walk a mile in somebody's shoes. That's self-oriented empathy. So that is, let me put myself in your shoes. Let me walk a mile in your shoes. Let me see how that feels. And that's very helpful in helping us to relate to somebody and understand somebody. Like, okay, walk a mile in someone's shoes. Cool. There's also another way though. The other way, let's say you don't want to walk in somebody's shoes. The other way is imagining the other person's perspective, their point of view. Like, what are they seeing on the other side of the table? Okay. And then reading their emotions to gain a greater understanding. So, first one, we are imagining ourselves as that person. The second one, we are imagining what that other person is seeing and feeling. So we're keeping a separation there, a boundary there. And I'm going to give you an example, and we're going to see which one works best. So my example is a personal one. This is a real story from my experience. It's about a diaper rash argument. And so we're going to see which form of empathy I used in this diaper rash argument. So I'm divorced and since remarried, and very happy with my upgrade. But I was married and I was going through this divorce, recently separated. Dina, you know what I'm talking about. But so I'm at work and I get a phone call, and it's my ex-wife, or soon-to-be ex-wife, and she's mad, she's hot, she's 38 hot. I've heard that a lot this week. I don't know what it means still, but I've heard it. Hopefully some of y'all understand what that is. She's 38 hot. And she's mad, yelling at me. I don't like her tone. I don't like nothing coming out of her mouth. But I've been reading. I've been in some groups, some father groups. I've been in some sessions like this. I'm learning new things and new ways to communicate. And I said, let me try this out. I was aware that this was an opportunity to rebuild or build in this relationship. So I said, okay, let me be cool here. So she's upset. My daughter's got a rash. I had her for the weekend, gave her back to her mother, and she's developed a rash on this weekend. And so she's upset, 38 hot. And so I said, okay, let me empathize. All right, so let me walk a mile in her shoes. All right, so how would I feel if she brought her to me with a rash? I'd be mad. I know I'd be upset, and I know I would be mad because I had been mad when she brought me my daughter in a way that I didn't like maybe her hair wasn't done all the way, or something with his clothes, or something like that. I'd be upset about it. I was mad. And then I said, what would I do? I was like, well, I wouldn't talk to her like this. Like, I wouldn't do all this. I wouldn't be yelling and hollering, and, I wouldn't be disrespectful like this. So do you see what happened there? I walked a mile in her shoes, but since I was in her shoes, I had to interject my perspective from my learned experiences and the way I handled things. And so it really kind of stopped the empathy at that point. It could only go so far because I had a problem with what she was saying and how she was saying it to me. That was a real problem for me. Okay. So I was like, okay, I can't really get past this. Skirt, I got another one. All right, here goes other oriented empathy. And I had to really think this stuff through. It was taking, I was stammering, stuttering on the phone. And it was exhausting too, just thinking about it. But I got it down to a point where it's a lot easier for me now. Anyway, so I said, okay, let me try to understand her perspective, right? Okay, so yes, she appears to be upset about this. And I think she's thinking that I was letting my daughter walk around in a pissy diaper all weekend, not taking care of her properly, and she ended up getting a rash. Okay, got it. I understand that. And then she looks to be upset. Okay, so I've taken her perspective, or what I think is her perspective, her imagined perspective. I've layered it with the emotions. Got it. I think I understand what's happening. And what's nice here is I'm right in the pocket, right? I'm ready to come up with some sort of solution or coming together, right? Whereas before, I put my perspective on it and said, I wouldn't talk to me like this, and then what comes next? She got me effed up, I got a problem with how she's speaking with me. But when I used this perspective, I kind of stayed in this pocket where I was still curious and trying to figure out how we can come up with a solution. So in the diaper rash argument, it worked out better for me to use that other and keep a boundary there, rather than just saying I'm gonna walk a mile in her shoes. That didn't always work for me. I had to pull back and say, I'm just gonna keep her perspective in mind and talk about her emotions. So now I want to ask you guys again, how does empathy show up in your relationship? How do you empathize? Has somebody used empathy with you? How does that show up in your relationship? This can be partner relationships, where many of us are parents in here. This can be with our children. How do we use empathy in our relationships? Stephen, you fixing your mouth to say something.
Yeah, I was, Chris. Man, I was trying to jump on the last question.
Okay.
And one of the brothers jumped in. I said, okay, I'm gonna fall back. Hey, Chris, I'll be real brief and just say it shows up in me where I am an active listener. And that means that I focus. And I heard the brother that was talking about being on the phone. And one of the things I try to practice doing is putting my phone down and actually being an active listener. When I'm an active listener, I find myself repeating and saying, okay, so what I hear you saying is it was a diaper rash and you're trying to get to the bottom of it. I'm engaged too. So I'll find myself repeating to let them know I'm in here with you as well. Not trying to get 38 hot just because you 38 hot. I'm trying to be more solution focused than problem focused.
Right. Is there any number besides 38 that is used, or is it always 38?
I think it's always 38.
Is 38 like a pistol?
I don't know. Some of the young people use. They say, "Yo, I was 38 hot," so everybody rolling with 38. Maybe Chris, you have to go against the grain and say, "I was 37 hot. I ain't got to the 38 yet. I was 37."
Before guys, maybe 48 hot.
Right, 48 high.
My
Stephen, were you
cousin
saying
is
something?
here with me. My cousin is here with me. He said it is a pistol reference. He's a armed forces and law enforcement, but he said the gun itself gets super hot after you fire it a couple times.
Everybody familiar with us.
See?
Yeah, look, Smith and Wesson. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's part of some of our groups too. We try to uncode some of this so we can stay, hip to the lingo. Because there's all kinds of stuff going on here. We was talking about pushing P last time, so
Yeah, no doubt.
had to make sure we had reached a consensus on what that meant, and if we can let our kids say it.
Yeah.
But
All
that
right, so
active
good.
listening is definitely a way to empathize. Also, for me, it is letting them have their outlet. Like, I hate that my wife shops, Amazon shops, as much as she does, or Home Goods shops as much as she does. However, I do like what it does for her. The break that she gets from life, the mental stress load that it takes off of her while she's out doing that, and the benefit outweighs the sacrifice, and the sacrifice is primarily financial. But my empathy towards her is letting her have her outlet.
Nice, very good. Letting her and giving it to you. You don't agree with it necessarily to the extent she does it, but you recognize the value. Man, that's such a key in a relationship, and not just shopping. You may not necessarily agree with what they do or the extent of it, but you also see the value. I love it. I love it. And yes, active listening. And Stephen, I think you was peeking at my slides, man, because we about to get that next time. He said, no, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. All right. Active listening, or listening for understanding, right? So this session is not called what is empathy and understanding. It's, how to use it to improve your relationship. So we have to spend some time on that, okay? Hopefully just discussing it, learning more about it can help you do that. But this should definitely help you out if you follow these instructions. So when I was using this other oriented empathy, after I tried and failed with self empathy, I'll just stick with self empathy and other. We'll leave that oriented part, but you get it. So when I was using empathy in the diaper rash argument, I was also following this process. This process has been adapted. It was adopted, now adapted from Dr. John Gottman. Some of you guys have heard me talk about him a lot because I love this dude. And he's a relationship researcher. And I'm not going to promote him any more than that. But he had this acronym called FIG-TESPN. And I'm not going to sit here and try to tell people about FIG-TESPN. I don't know what it stands for anymore. I can't remember. So I tried to just change the words a little bit so that it would be something that made sense to me and could form an actual word. And so what I found is adults. When we're in an argument, let's act like adults, right? ADULTS. I think that's how you spell it. So that right, Dina? Okay, cool. You're like right there at the top, so I just see you up. So what's the first? What's A stand for? Awareness. Remember, Tremaine, you talked about, I can't remember the word you used, but I said, I'm going to change that to awareness because I know I'm going to be talking about that later.
Observant.
Observant, right. Observant, awareness. So you need to be aware of the opportunity before you. Okay, yes, this person's 38 hot. No other number really makes sense. I know why now. Thank you very much, Steven's cousin. Listen, you need to be aware there's an opportunity here, okay? It's not just this person's yelling at me and violating me or disrespecting me. You need to get past that and understand what's happening here. Stephen Turner, you talked about the way in which you listen and accomplishes the same thing here. Like, I'm listening, I'm trying to learn what's going on. I'm listening with curiosity, right? So I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. right? So listening for understanding helps you to avoid being easily offended and missing out on the opportunity before you. Because even when somebody is hollering at you, they are trying to engage with you. Like your woman is, or your husband, your wife or your husband, they're coming at you. They may be coming at you in the wrong way, but they're still coming to you. You really got a problem when they don't even bother. Okay. That's when you're in real bad shape. Not when she's cussing you out. Hopefully she's not doing that. But when she doesn't even bother, that's when you really look dangerous. All right. So we're listening for understanding and we're using that empathy, right? Whether that be self or other, either we're walking in their shoes or we're just trying to observe their perspective. We're empathizing here with this awareness, okay? And then we're going to do what you talked about, Stephen, is we're going to paraphrase what's been communicated. We're going to demonstrate our understanding. Remember what I said? Remember what Lil Wayne said earlier, right? So if you don't feel me or understand me, you're not real. You can't be dependent upon, I can't trust you, okay? We want to demonstrate that understanding when our significant other, our children, whoever's important enough to us to go through this, that they're there with us. So let's look at it. So again, I talked about empathy with the diaper rash. I made that clear how we did that with my ex-wife. How did I paraphrase what was communicated? Okay, so I say this, correct me if I'm wrong. What I heard you say is, Maya came home with a diaper rash, and you think that she developed that diaper rash because I wasn't changing her enough. That right? Yes. Yeah, okay, yeah. All right, so we've done that. So you can't say I don't get it because I just paraphrased to you. You just agreed that I understand what you're trying to say. So we've reached the understanding at this point. Now, some of that wall has come down. See, because man, we like to do this. Oh, there's a problem here. She yelling. No. Tremaine likes to do this. Oh, there's something going on here. She mad, whatever. All right, well, let's just fix it. Let's go to solutions. And I'm not saying Tremaine does. I know Tremaine.
Oh, I do that. You know me well.
Right. We go from here to here, right? We start off initiating it, and we like to get right down to business, right? You know what I'm talking about. And so there's none of this happening. And women want this. They need this. So we go here and here, and maybe we did what we came to do, but she leaves unsatisfied, disappointed with the process in the way that you arrived there. Okay, so we demonstrate our understanding by paraphrasing what's communicated. We're not a parakeet. We're not just repeating everything they said. We're putting in our own words, making sure we understand where this person's coming from. And next we label it. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're diffusing the bomb with demonstrating understanding and labeling, because they're ready to blow. 38 hot, I don't even know what gets hotter than that, but they're ready to go. Okay, boom. We've paraphrased, we've demonstrated understanding, we've reached an agreement on that part at least, right? And if you've ever been in sales, they try to get you to say yes, right? Get your customer to agree with you. So you're getting him or her to agree. Now we're going to label this thing, all right? How is this person feeling? Okay, so my ex-wife, correct me if I'm wrong here. What I'm hearing you say is, Maya came home with a diaper rash, and you think that probably happened because I was letting her walk around in a wet diaper all weekend. If she came to me with a diaper rash after being with you, I would be upset too. All right. I could tell you're angry, and I would feel angry too. Okay. So we're putting a label to the feeling, and we know that that's healthy, because when we're in the grips of emotion, it's a different part of our brain that also doesn't make a lot of good choices. And when you bring in the one that labels it, now you're bringing in thought to the process, and that's very helpful. So we're labeling it, And now when we've done all that work, we got her good and ready. Now we're gonna finish with the solutions. Now we jump here. So bop, 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 bop. Now we get to the solutions because we've gone through all the steps. She's ready for a solution now. All right. So we can talk about, okay, so, I would feel angry about that too. I don't want that to happen again. What do I need to do so that this doesn't happen again? Okay, check her diaper more often. Okay. Oh, if I see any rashes developing, do something about it. Put an ointment on it. Put some Vaseline on it, whatever it may be. Got it. Okay, cool. So now let's see how we did. Let's take the Wayne test. All right. So in that scenario where she comes to me, she's like, you don't understand, right? You can't be depended upon, right? So now what we've done is we've demonstrated understanding. We've talked about solutions and how we can prevent this from happening again, and that I can be dependent upon. So I can be a real one again, right? And it's not gonna just happen like that every single time. It's not gonna just fix things overnight. Obviously with the relationships, we need consistency and all that good stuff. But I can tell you, when we had that conversation, she went from about 8, 9, right down to a 5 or 6. And she didn't even know what to say. She was just, okay, bye. Like, it just ended it, diffused the bomb. And I was just like, whoa, that really works. I was like, this is incredible, man. So since then, I've used that in relationships, and it's definitely very helpful for me. So with that, we have some time for questions and discussion. I wanted to open up for any questions you guys may have about what we just went through.
Now, Chris, I had a quick question, or just maybe observation, or used observation again, or just your opinion. So a lot of the, I think in our field, why we might not have some empathy sometimes for some of our guys is because we are so used to dealing with other people that we kind of bring that into the relationship we have with our current clients, current people we're working with. That's same with relationships. Sometimes we could be in a relationship, just like with your example with the diaper. You happen to mention that that relationship was pretty much ending. So sometimes you are already going into that conversation with that built up aggression, and just you already have your way of thinking that I don't like this, or this person did this purpose to it, whatever the case may be. So you come into things sometimes with just that mindset. And I think that removes you from the empathy you could feel or be in that person's shoes, because you already have that built up, or that mindset of what's wrong, what I don't like, what I'm looking for, what I perceive as a problem. It might not even be a problem.
Yeah, no, I like that. I'm so glad you said that, because we come in and we don't really take something at face value. Like this situation, we throw all the other baggage on top of it, right? And so it becomes something that makes us far more upset, doesn't allow us to give the person a fair chance. And so rather than me just being a dad with a daughter who got a diaper rash, kids get diaper rashes, right? It was, I'm not doing this, I'm not that, I'm not that. And it was because of all the other things. Absolutely. So that's where it's on us as individuals, before we come into a situation, to have our own level of awareness. When we start hearing that voice in our head talking about, he never this, he never that, he ain't this, he ain't that, that's where we check that. Like, well, is that true? And usually it's not, So I mean, that's a great point. I think in relationships, we got to learn to let stuff go. And if we can't, we need to actually talk about it. Obviously, my ex-wife and I could not successfully do that.
Yeah, and I must say, Chris, you have a better upgrade. So
the upgrade.
Shout out to to Miss White.
Now y'all know y'all wrong for this one.
I'll be wrong. That's real talk.
It's just fun and games.
That's table talk.
Yeah. That's what it is. That's what it is.
I agree with you. They are wrong for that. I definitely agree with you.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
Chris, I do want to say this, man. I think you've given us some homework to, to take from this meeting. And that is one, in practicing empathy. I got a circle amongst some men that we talk, several times during the week. And one of the things we'll say is we don't have enough conversations like that as men. And I'm gonna tell you, I need to add the empathy conversation, because that's not one that's come in any of my circles. Hey, I need to practice more empathy. And I'm gonna tell you an example of one that if you live in this Atlanta area, you have heard this. And I said, man, I need to go out there. I always wanted to know, how did the young men that they coined on the news, the young entrepreneurs on the corner who selling the waters, trying to make money, they call them water boys. And I was like, man, let's take a team of men out there, man, and help these young men sell this water. Because obviously they doing it because they exercising their entrepreneur, abilities and trying to get some money in their pocket. Maybe darting in and out of traffic ain't safe, but I think this conversation here regarding empathy is a great one to have. Instead of labeling them as criminals, as water boys, see them as something other than that, which is, I believe, Kasim Reed or last mayor, Keisha Lance Bottoms, say, hey, we're gonna start an entrepreneur class for these young men. So I think that was a brilliant way of taking the empathy conversation and using it and saying, hey, let's look at how we empathize with people and just not label them in a way.
Absolutely. That's great. And Steve, we need to talk about, if you go on to talk to them, we just need to connect, period. So please, leave your information so we can connect, because I definitely am interested in that conversation that you're having. And then water boys, I was wondering, I'm like, man, why is everybody selling water? And I realized they're not just selling water for $1. No, they're upselling you when you get there. Like, I remember I gave a $10 bill, and he was like, all right, thanks. And I was like, oh, what do you mean thanks? But COVID, so I said, keep it. That was the plan anyways, was to give him $10. But then here's what cracked me up. Then his boy comes right behind him, like, hey, big bro, can I get something? And I was like, I just gave him $10, y'all split it. Like, they making a lot of money off that water, a lot more than $1. So, but yeah, I like the empathetic approach. Like, that's what we really need, right? I mean, like, our policing and everything. Like, if you can feel what this other person's feeling or put yourself in their shoes, you can reach a better understanding. And really, when you have a better understanding, you can really get to know their intentions a little more. Like, I get a better feel for his intentions because I'm in his shoes. I feel what he feels. Great point. Anybody else? We got any other hands up?
Dina says they call them squeegee boys in Baltimore.
What do they call them?
Squeegee boys.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like DMX and Belly. Yeah, with the squeegee. Absolutely. Very good, very good. Okay. Any other questions about this? Questions or comments about what we've discussed so far?
I think it's important that when we're speaking about empathy, we have to consider self-awareness too, right? It's harder to be empathetic to someone when you're not even aware of what you're going through or how you filter stuff, right? I remember dating someone, and when things would get tense between us, he would say, I need you to hear what I'm saying and not use your filters. And it always de-escalated the situation because I would be angry, right? Unaware of how my behavior is affecting his behavior. And when he would say that, I would say, oh, and I would have to first become self-aware.
Yes.
In order to empathize with what he was saying.
Right. Exactly. I love that you said that. So, you need to listen to me without your filters. Please listen to me without your filters.
Say, here, you got to hear me. Don't put your filters on. Listen to what I'm saying before you get all riled up. And it always, right, was like a check for me, like, oh, okay, I'm going too far. And I was able to de-escalate and hear what he had to say. And we were able to resolve stuff in that space.
Nice, nice. And I'm also thinking about what Tremaine brought up earlier, where if you have some history with somebody, you got some baggage.
Yeah, your filters. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The filters can be referred to as baggage, history, whatever you want to call it. And we need to renew, right? We need to renew daily. Anyways, we need to do this in our relationships where we kind of wash ourselves. Somebody said wash our mind, and I liked it. I think it maybe was Roosevelt Muhammad, where you need to wash your mind. You know, it was Roosevelt, and it allows you to see things more clearly. So remove those filters, throw down that baggage, wash your mind. Very good. Yep. And you'll increase your level of awareness, like you said.
Yeah.
Like you can see things for how they truly are. Love it. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the comments. Anybody else?
Let me just ask some real quick question. Again, if everybody can, 8:15, we're gonna have a clubhouse. Also, can you please add your names to the comments, to the chat, if you can, your names, your email address to the chat, please.
Hi, my name is Shalonda Burns. I just want to add, I'm a foster parent. My husband and I, we're a foster parent of 3, a sibling group of 3. And I know we use empathy a lot, especially with them, because as any foster child, they have experienced trauma. But I was reading your list here. We definitely talk a lot through the situations and things they experience, even through their daily lives, but they often bring up stories of their past, and we talk a lot about it to help them get over it and give them solutions as well to help them gain understanding, and also to help them find relief and comfort. So I think understanding, I like what the lady just said, understanding yourself and understanding the kids and understanding where they come from.
Right. Yeah, I imagine empathy is even more valuable when you have kids that haven't been raised by you this whole time. And they came to you because of some difficult circumstances. And not like they said, my mom and dad have been great to me, but I think it's time to go live with somebody else. You know, so being able to empathize with them is incredibly powerful. I have never had that experience, so I can't speak on it too much, but I can just see how it'd be even more important, right? For you to really intentionally practice empathy with foster kids, because it's not going to come quite as easy as with your own children. Well, truthfully, sometimes it could be easy to have that separation. But I wanted to, okay, Tabitha, go ahead. I see that hand. Oh, actually, was Stephen's hand? No, go ahead, Tabitha, then we'll get to Stephen. Go ahead, Tabitha. If you
I had to find the unmute button. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I think that also I work as a parental accountability coordinator for Division of Child Support Services. And what I do is I work with non-custodial parents who are unable to pay their child support. Most times they can't pay their child support. Then you have suspension of driver's license or arrest orders. Well, the program that I work with is I reach out to those parties and I ask them what their barriers are. And if they qualify for the program, a lot of times they just have to be in contempt, then they enter my program. And I think that having an understanding and truly empathizing for the things that they're going through and the barriers, it really helps to have that background, because if you're just there to fill up your report so you have people on board, you're never making a difference in the world. A lot of these gentlemen and females, ladies, also don't have, let's say, just their GED. Some of them were raised in homes that don't even know how to really get out there and open a checking account or work on a resume or job, looking for jobs. And I think that having that understanding to help them in the long run helps their children, because at some point it's going to make themselves a better person. in the long run, if they take, if they take advantage of these tools that we provide, and it trickles down to the children.
Yeah, we have to do that. I'm so glad that you have this perspective where you're keeping in mind, I'm dealing with somebody who is not paying their child support. You just look at that on paper. There have been plenty of people that come up with the assumptions of deadbeat, he's this, he's that, whatever. But what you're doing is, using that perspective that you gained to reach a better understanding of this individual. And also, I like what you said, where you're keeping in mind that this ultimately will help the children. And I love that you said that for everybody to hear, because we lose sight of that. And we know we've experienced that before. We go in to receive some help for something and somebody does not really care. Something's preventing them from caring about what we're going through in this moment, whether it be your cable service not working properly, or you're behind on child support, whatever it is. You felt that from somebody who doesn't care. It doesn't feel good. So, if we're in this business to really help somebody, we always need to keep that in mind. If anything, we're benefiting the kids by helping them. And one more thing before I go to Stephen, if you are doing what the young lady before with the foster kids mentioned, following these sorts of steps, however you do it, you're also teaching them. So you're helping them in that situation, but you're teaching not only your children, but whoever you're around, how to process things, right? How to resolve issues. When you go through this process, they will absorb it if you do it often enough. Go ahead, Stephen. I see your hand.
Stephen, wait, hold just 1 second. Could you guys fill out the Dina put in a form to complete for the webinar? Please provide the feedback to that. So if you guys can click onto the form in the chat, fill that out, that would be grateful. Thank you very much. Sorry, Stephen, go ahead.
Or did he just have his hand up from before?
I think Stephen just wants to have his hand up. I think he wants to be seen. I think he wants to be seen.
We see you. We recognize you,
Yeah,
Stephen.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
We acknowledge you. We acknowledge your presence, Stephen. Thank you.
Exactly.
This Stephen will go.
Oh, yes, Stephen.
Stephen with
Stephen A. Go ahead.
Right. Yes, sir.
Stephen will. All right, we'll take another one.
So I come from 7 kids. 5 of us are boys, same parents, and we did have our father in the household sometimes. But it took me a very long time to have empathy. It's not something I was taught as a kid. It's not something I was shown. It's not something I saw around me as a kid. And maybe that was a toxic masculinity that existed. I'm the second oldest. So I really just could only model after what my dad, when he was there, my older brother showed, and then pass it down to my younger brothers. And I see that with all of us. We're all, the youngest of us is 30 now, but we're all older. 4 of us are in long-term committed relationships, 2 marriages, 2 relationships. But I see that in our conversations with one another about exchanges between us and our partners, even us and our kids. So we were, I guess, taught that empathy was soft, and men aren't soft, kind of thing. So I would just try to say, be aware of that in all relationships. 1, teaching it to your kids, but 2, maybe your partner was not taught that. And it took me, I've been with my wife now, we're married for 2 years, but been together for 8 years. And we're saying I'm probably a year into this empathy thing, and still ain't quite there yet. It's still a really tall task for me. I don't understand it. I don't always agree with it. I definitely don't always express it, but I'm trying. I'm trying to learn it more and show it more. Just be aware of that with your partners and with what you're teaching your kids.
See, and that's the power of this dialogue that we have, because we have all these different perspectives. Did I mention that anywhere? Patience, when we talk about learning this and using it in practice? No, I did not. So thank you for giving us that, Stephen, because like you said, if you didn't learn it, and even more, you were taught that this is soft, you're acting like a whatever, right? Trying to express your feelings, it's going to be pretty hard for you to go there if you've learned that as a child. So be patient as we learn this new evolved form of communication, right? Great point. Thank you for that. Anybody else? I know, Tremaine, you did talk about us jumping over to
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
Yes.
I just signed up for it 5 minutes before the call. I'm pretty excited to test it out because I've never used it before. So if you guys have anything you'd like to talk about and continue the dialogue, we will be doing it over there at Clubhouse. I don't know how it's going to work because I've never been on it. But
I've never been invited myself. I'm not one of the cool kids. So I am thankful now I can be one of the cool kids to be on Clubhouse myself.
There you go.
So I get
There
to
you
now
go.
tell people, hey, I was on Clubhouse myself.
Tremaine, they're just letting anybody on now.
Oh,
They're
now,
letting anybody.
so
You don't
now
even
it just
gotta
might be
invited.
over. Now they let us on, they might shut it down. Today might be the last day for Clubhouse.
Right. I see your
Come on
hand.
now.
Satchel.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep. Could you pronounce your name for us, please?
You actually pronounced it right, Satchel.
That's good.
I actually have a question. So I've been listening to everything, and I think my question would say a lot about my circle, but what would you guys say to the phrase, stop making excuses for people? I often find myself at the end of that sentence where people tell me that I'm making excuses for people. And
yeah.
And I call it empathy in a sense that I feel, not really feel sorry, but just kind of understand why people would act certain ways. But my circle will often tell me that that's just excuses. So how would you respond to that?
Wow. So there is a difference between empathy and agreement, or empathy and acceptance of behavior, right? You can understand what somebody's feeling, what their point of view is, and say that is wrong. It's not even close to right. It's completely wrong. It's inexcusable, right? So, like I always tell my kids, you're not going to get in trouble for how you feel. You can't get in trouble for how you feel. You can get in trouble for what you do or what you say, right? So that's what I would say to that is we don't have to excuse anything. We don't have to, just because we're empathizing with them, just because we feel what they feel, doesn't mean we have to excuse the behavior or agree with the behavior. I like to draw the distinction between agreement and understanding, right? Because I'll have these conversations with people in my life and they think because I don't agree with them, I don't understand, but it's, no, I understand. I paraphrase. We agree that I understand. I just think you're wrong. I just disagree. I don't think what you did was right. You shouldn't have done that. That sort of thing.
And for me, empathy isn't given an, when I'm able to show it, isn't given an excuse. Simply telling somebody to be somewhere emotionally will not make them there. Empathy is meeting them where they are and understanding that it's a process, not necessarily a decision. The process may start with a decision, but it's not a light switch that's just going to flip and say, all right, you're where I want you to be. Empathy is that step in that process.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So, Mr. White, this is a great session. I must say it's standing room only. I think we have almost we have 40, it's like 35 people. So we are so excited that everyone is here. We do have a few housekeeping requests. I know Dina has put the evaluation in the chat, but Dina, if you don't mind, can you put it in again so people can easily get to it, and we'll just give them a few moments to complete it. Please take the time to complete it. We would love to hear your feedback. Your feedback helps us to develop and continue more sessions like this. And we want to make sure that we are giving you what you want to hear, what are topics of interest, for you. So Dina will put that link back in the chat. And I do encourage everyone, once you complete the evaluation form, to go over to our Clubhouse. Again, this rich conversation will continue, over there. It's really I would say kind of laid back, you know what I mean? And it's just something cool to do. So I definitely am excited that Dina has added this as a part of our sessions. But again, we just ask you to please take a few moments. She has put the link in the chat. So it's right there where you can easily access it and fill the evaluation form back out. back out, fill it out so that we can get your feedback. And we will give you a few minutes. And so Dina, I think maybe 2 or 3 minutes you think it would take folks to get over there and to complete it. And so I will stop talking in 2 or 3 minutes. Dina, you can just get back on and just give them instructions on how to get to Clubhouse. But again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Kudos to you, Mr. White and Mr. Ferguson, for a great session.
Thank you.
And sorry we don't have any soft music in the background. I would sing for you, but then nobody would go to Clubhouse or anybody else. You would be follow us anywhere else.
Me neither. I wasn't blessed with a good voice either.
Thanks again. Thanks everybody. Thanks, Chris. It's always a great job. We had some of our guys on too. I see Demetrius. I see Demetrius still around. Thanks again, Demetrius, for jumping on. Thanks for some of our coworkers. Thank you, Miss Worthy again, and Dina, and Miss White. Always thank you very much. Like I said, happy to be here. Thanks. It was a great. It was great. Hope you guys fill the forms out, and hopefully something like this could be happening again.
And thank you, Mr. Smith, for letting us know you're done. So once you've completed the evaluation, you can either put it in the chat or put a hands up, and then we can move on with the party.
I got to go through a lot of screens on this Clubhouse. I'm ready. I just registered the first time. Okay, now I can add a room. Let's see. Clubhouse. Oh, you shared that link. There it is. Oh, and thank you to all the guys that came on. That you thank the Atlanta folks. But I want to thank everybody from the Cobb Douglas crew too. You guys, as always, really make the call.
I seen one guy, he had like a great name. It was like King Lance. That was one of your guys from Man.
Yeah, King, yep.
Oh, man,
King, not to be outdone by his brother Julie.
Oh, okay. I seen Lance, so I didn't know if that was the same guy or
the Lance boys.
Oh, okay.
Hey, and I appreciate y'all for coming on here with shirts too, because I don't know, I didn't know what I was gonna get. So
that's a common thing. They don't come on with shirts.
These guys are swole, and they don't even really wear shirts that much. They just walk around, and I would too. And no, Julius, that's why I kept my camera off. Hey, if I was built like that, I probably would have came to this thing without a shirt on too. So
that's a different type of meeting.
At my day job, I work at a university, and I process everybody's ID card applications.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll get these students that will submit a photo of themselves, like no shirt, nothing on. We're like, this is what you
Baby
want
oil.
on your school ID. They like, if you got it, flaunt it.
Right. That's funny. That is funny. Oh, so wait, there's like a, oh, this is a Clubhouse is audio?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes. Yes.
I guess I didn't know what this was. That's good. I didn't want to just sit here and text the whole time. All right. Wow. How about that?
So Dina, I have to download it again. So all I need to do is download it and then I should find the link.
Yes, once you click the link, it'll bring you right to the room.
Oh, okay. So I don't even have to download it on my phone then, huh?
I think you do have to have the app.
Okay. I had it the last time that I did it.
Natasha, are you able to save all the names in the chat or no, you can't?
Yeah, we have it recorded. Yes.
Okay,
sir.
great.
I'm glad you said something so I can stop the recording.
How you doing, Rakia?
I'm doing well, Tremaine. I'm glad you asked because I was like, I want to make a comment, but I didn't know when to.
But you wait this long to make a comment?
Unmute myself. So you just opened the door for me. I just want to say thank you for inviting me. This was absolutely amazing. And to, I mean, of course we hear about empathy all the time, but to hear it from a male's perspective was so different, so refreshing. Yeah, so kudos, y'all did this. Chris, Tremaine, this was absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
See, Chris, I just demonstrated empathy because see, I